Será que a peste negra vitimaria 1/3 da população europeia se o Twitter existisse em 1350? Ou será que os regimes absolutistas, as dinastias tirânicas se agarrariam tanto tempo no poder se o povo pudesse twittar, bugar ou mesmo acessar o Wikileaks? A mudança está emergindo do povo e de soluções e tecnologias simples, de baixo custo e que utilizam o espaço cibernético como viabilizador para finalmente mobilizar e conectar as massas. Em 2015, após muitas décadas, podemos ter a primeira geração de crianças africanas livre do vírus HIV. Para compartilhar sua visão de como a tecnologia está promovendo o renascimento e a esperança na África, convido Jepchumba.
Hello. Hello. Hi. How are you? What do you think of when you think of Africa? Most people, when they see or think of Africa, they think of poverty, strife, civil unrest, hunger, or even Coney that we just saw. But it's true that Africa certainly has its fair of challenges, but that's not why I'm here today. Today I'm here to talk to you about something that I'm passionate about, which is Africa's hidden potential. And many of you may not know that Africa has one of the youngest populations in the world. It also has the fastest and largest growing mobile technology industry in the world as well, and also is influencing and impacting the way you use technology here today in Brazil. But before I even start with that, I would like to start with my favorite topic, which is myself. My name is Jepchumba. And yes, it does mean something. Most people, when they hear my name, they're like, Chachu, what? But my name, Jepchumba, actually means foreigner. And we were joking about this last night that Google just Googled foreigner, and they're like, oh, there's Jepchumba, we'll bring her on. So my parents really didn't know that I would end up living up to my name, living all around the world, exploring technology, philosophy, and culture. And that's where I picked up this strange accent from somewhere. Yeah. So it was my study in philosophy and culture that I discovered this new passion, and that passion for me was digital media. You see, when you study philosophy, you have to read a lot of books and write a lot of papers. And I don't like writing papers. I'm a visual person. I said I'm a digital artist. So I decided to, instead of writing a paper or handing in a paper, to perhaps present an animation or a short film. And soon my passion for digital media led me to go and pursue a degree in England in digital media. And that's when I gained more technical skills to learn not only animation, film, and photography, but also how to run a digital media agency and also the effect of culture and technology. It was at this time that I kept on thinking back about where I came from, Kenya. And as somebody who's lived everywhere, I'm always thinking back about where I'm from. I'm always thinking about how is my experiencing leading me back home? And at that time, I thought, oh, I should start exploring the African creative space online. And I was really surprised to find that there was no space, digital space for creatives like myself online. So I did what most of you do. When you find something lacking, you decide, you know what, let me go ahead and create it myself. So this is where African digital art was born. And African digital art just began by me showcasing the incredible projects that creatives like myself were doing around the continent. We had filmmakers and animators not only telling stories about what was in their imagination, but also conveying the things that they thought to be African. So a lot of times I would get responses from people who would see my website and ask me, are you sure this is African? Where's the Lion King? Where's the safaris? Those are the certain things that people always think of when they think of Africa. And I soon found out that the term African and digital was a revolutionary idea. So I quickly named myself Digital African online on all my social media. and did my best to go around to find other digital Africans, young people like myself who were obsessed with the internet, who were nerds, who loved gadgets and technology, and also liked the way that technology gives you the opportunity to take what's in your imagination and actually produce it and share it with the world. So quickly, I started running around Africa, and that's me, a picture of me in Nairobi, very surprised to find over 200, 300 digital creatives doing the same thing as I was. I thought, hey, I'm alone, but it turns out that I'm actually not that special. So I wanted to share you some of the stories that some of the experiences and the stories and other people that I connected with. On the top there you see Emeka, and he is a sound artist from Lagos. And he's doing something quite unique in Nigeria. He has microphones set up throughout the city that are digitally recording the soundscape of Lagos. And what he is finding is that as the city begins to modernize, the soundscape of Lagos also changes. And that's quite unique and incredible thing to capture, and that's something that's so exciting about digital media, that it allows you to experience things that were not necessarily available to you. And over there in the middle, you'll see part of those are students from Kibera Film School. It's a film school in the heart of one of Kenya's largest slums. And it's quite incredible because some of the students were just given a few cameras and a few digital recorders and now are able to go into their neighborhoods where, you know, the news media would never be allowed to go and actually capture their stories and experiences of what exactly is going on in Africa. And it was only at this time, you know, I'm a nerd as well, and I'm a creative as well, and I would show them my latest gadget, and they would be like, oh, that's too much, we don't really need that. And I was able to quickly learn that when you give people the opportunity and you give them the tools, then they're ready to take off and run. And one of the most interesting things that I found as a woman and as an African girl in technology is that many people had never asked young girls what their stories were and how they would share it. So technology afforded us the chance to listen to new perspectives that we don't need to necessarily get George Clooney, but we could get a girl in Nairobi to tell her story. So one of the other things that I'm also passionate about digital media is the fact that it allows us Africans to imagine a different world that is not limited to our problems of strife and poverty and hunger. We can, for the first time, think about what exactly a modern African landscape will look like. We're starting to explore ideas of Afrofuturism. So now we can be writing films about, you know, new science fiction topics. We can even be Afronauts and discover new things new ways of envisioning what exactly modernity in the globe would look like. But without addressing mobile technology, it's kind of hard to address the changing landscape in Africa. And I know you guys were so excited for me to show you what's in my box. So it's my turn now. Yay. And in my box, I have this low-budget phone. And it's not the latest Android, but if you want to give me the latest Android, I have no problem with that. It's not the fanciest iPhone. It can barely do anything. But this is actually changing the way we understand and the way we're communicating in Africa. And I always think about this quote: in a continent with few computers and little electricity, a smartphone is not just a phone, it's a potential revolution. So most of you found the internet first, came across the internet through your desktop computers. But that's not the case in Africa. We don't have MacBooks, another thing you guys can give me, or you know, iPads or all of those things. We actually only have this. So imagine as a creative, as a designer, of skipping desktop computers and going straight to mobile, the possibilities that Africa has to give in terms of thinking about technology and thinking about the way we interact with our devices. And that's what gets me excited as a creative, as a designer. It's like I don't have to limit myself with, you know, our more modern devices. I can start thinking outside of the box, as we've all been talking about. So another thing I wanted to bring up, another subject that's closest at hand, is the 2008 in Kenya. Kenya, my home country, experienced post-election violence. And it seemed once again we had fallen prey to the same old cliche. Kenya was in turmoil, and I was away at that time, and I was trying to figure out, how can I participate as a digital African? How can I get involved in the things that were going on? And could I even trust what the media was saying about what was going on in Kenya? Because at the time there was complete blackout and there was complete social upheaval. And it was at this time that something remarkable happened. It seemed like technology offered us a new narrative, a new story of understanding what exactly was going on. And this is when the company that I'm proud to work for now, Ushahidi, was formed. And I wanted to show you a little video about the 4 founders of Ushahidi from Kenya. And they're going to talk to you about exactly what Ushahidi did and what was going on at the time and how it's kind of changed the way we understand technology today. So you can go and play it.
I think what Ushahidi does is it allows people to participate. Instead of one organization saying that here's what happened, I think this is an opportunity for everyone to create the narrative, making it many to many instead of one to many, like we've been accustomed to.
I think a lesson to learn here is that aid is more effective if the loop is round. When you implement a program where you collect data, you can close the loop by feeding back information to the citizens in a useful way and in a format that they can use.
When the post-election violence broke out in Kenya, I had been covering the election quite a bit on my blog. And in that process, the disconnect between what I was hearing from my sources and what was happening in the media was very wide. And so I posted the idea of what then became Ushahidi onto my blog. And then Eric got in touch.
That was home for me. Kenya's always been home for me. And it's where my network runs deepest on the continent.
Ushahidi became successful because we had the support of the Kenyan bloggers. We ended up with more than 131 unique IP addresses submitting information into the mashup over a 3-month period.
And so that was Ushahidi saying, okay, here is a very simple, rudimentary application that allows us to get reports from ordinary people saying what's going on around them in this crazy, chaotic space that was Kenya at the time. Ushahidi, at the time we built it, which was 2 years ago, was already 3-year-old technology. Anybody in the world could have built this 3 years prior to when we built it. So the technology was nothing new or groundbreaking, and still isn't. It's a use of this technology in a more dynamic way that is groundbreaking.
To me, saving one life alone has validated Ushahidi entirely. So that makes a big difference. I'm completely satisfied.
So what Ushahidi was able to do was allow people to collect data and collect data from the people who were on the street through either SMS or through the web or through other platforms, and collect this information and visualize it through interactive mapping. But now Ushahidi is moving past that. Ushahidi is exploring other ways that we can not only understand the information that we received across the world, but also how to generate new narratives. And that's why, as a creative, I'm very excited to be part of the team. And one thing I wanted to leave you with, that's something that Eric Hirschman always says to me, and he's the co-founder of Ushahidi, and has stuck with me in everything that I do, is that if it works in Africa, it works anywhere. And that's an amazing and powerful testament to the global impact that African Renaissance is having on technology today. Thank you so much.